you are already a medical blogger. You, like I said, you do this in the exam room. You do this all the time. When referring physicians call you, you explain things all the time. Every single one of those could be a topic for a blog. A blog does not have to be long, but you already do this on a daily basis. The difference between writing a blog and what you do there is you put it on paper or you put it on the internet, and it allows everybody to see it. Now, I have a lot of times when, I have nothing interesting to write about, and like Ron will say, "Do you have a blog topic?" And I say, "There is nothing out there that is interesting." Well, you can co-opt other things that are interesting to other people. Okay, and for example, this is Downton Abbey on the left. One of our most popular blogs really doesn't have anything to do with infertility. I mean, we have a little bit of infertility in this blog, but I watched Downton Abbey, and I wrote a blog about the medicine of Downton Abbey and how accurate is it and what are they really doing, and some of it was speculation, but it was a lot of fun, and we got a lot of people to comment on it, and it very much engaged people all across the globe. Now, that's not driving necessarily local patients to our practice, but it is driving our web visibility up because we get people. I've had people from far corners call me or email me to debate, a topic here and there, saying my interpretation was wrong or how much they loved it. So I've even quoted Caddyshack, so you can use little things and just you talk about Caddyshack. What does it have to do with infertility? Not very much, but there are little nuggets and things that you can use in these, just in movies if you want to make quotes just as a springboard. I often did that writing about computers. Computers are extremely boring to write about, and so you had to find interesting or ways to make it interesting. And of course, anytime there's a news story about like Angelina Jolie and the BRCA or one of the Kardashians struggling with infertility, that's a great opportunity to write something. So great topics, common questions from patients. Okay. This is especially true for me. If it's not something I know a lot about, I will research it and write a blog on it. And it's good for me and it's good for the patients. Quite frankly, I get patients coming in here and asking me about all sorts of herbal supplements, and that's something I'm working on. They want to know how to get more DHA in their diet because they know eating fish is good, but they don't like fish. So we're currently working on a blog right now of like great sardine recipes, great, and I'm trying to get several chefs around town to help with recipes. Common misconceptions are a great one. In REI, our patients are searching for answers. They are out there, they are on the internet, and they are searching for answers. They will find you. Okay, so if you think nobody's going to read your blog, if you're in my field, they're looking for these answers. Okay, this is where you can save a lot of time in exam rooms if you are addressing these misconceptions. Common dilemmas for patients. What kind of surgery should I get? What kind of surgical approach? How many embryos should I put back into a uterus? These are a lot of times the same dilemmas for a doctor, and patients do appreciate understanding how doctors think, and the kinds of things we weigh and the uncertainty we have. I think they appreciate it. They like it to see us as human. And of course, anything new or any news pertaining to the field is good. We found one of our more popular things, and it's hard for me to know exactly how much traffic this gets us in terms of business, but we have sort of a very self-serving, but we think a very patient-serving quiz. The quiz is, do you need to see a fertility doctor? And we have given different things scores like age, different medical conditions, length of infertility, and if your score tallies up, it tells you whether you should keep trying, go see your OBGYN, or should you come see us. You just need to just come see us. And we get a lot of hits on this. This is something that circulates on Facebook, and there are a lot of comments on this. Um, so that's quizzes are people like quizzes, especially on Facebook. Top tens are another thing people like. Top 10 ways to like avoid, to survive hay fever season. You know, top 10 best, top worst. What are the worst things you can say to an infertility patient? Patients love these. Now, how to things, those can be doctor directed. So like the clinical pearls, how do we do this? Or how do you interpret a test? Or patients, how do you get the right nutrients? And, how do you interpret an ovulation predictor kit? And these things are all confusing to patients. And every patient in every field has issues like this. And of course, algorithms, those are very handy for doctors, and they love those. And every Christmas, we actually do what's called a placard. I'm sorry, not every Christmas. Every spring on Fertility Week, we do a placard with like fertility pearls that we send out to doctors. And that's sort of a blog, but it puts it in their hand, and it's something they can keep on their desk. And it has our logo on it. So mechanics of writing, I mean, this is one of those that's, this is a very personal thing. I mean, everybody's written a term paper where they say what you're going to say, then say it, and then tell everybody what you just said. And that's good. That will work. I mean, there are a lot of great writers who do that. But what you're really looking for is maximizing the chance that people will read what you write. And one great way to do that is to actually be a little bit of a bad cop, or have a little bit of a teaser here and there, okay? Dr. Scotchy stole one of my lines for a blog she wrote. So, like, the first act of motherhood. And the natural question is, well, what is the first act of motherhood? Right there, right away, with a good title, you can get people to say, well, I want to know what that is. I want to read it, okay? The other things that are important, the first act of motherhood is selecting the right number of embryos, in case anybody wants to know. Like choosing to put one embryo is often a very good act of motherhood. Okay. But anyway, small words and short sentences. Nobody likes long, rambling sentences. Maybe I'm long and rambling right now, I don't know. But nobody, in writing, when I was a newspaper reporter, I couldn't tell if I was being complimented or insulted. I was standing at the city desk, and the publisher's wife walked in and was introduced to me, and she said, "Rink Murray, you're my favorite reporter. You use small words and short sentences." And it's true. I mean, the easier you make it to read, the easier you make it to understand. And that goes into only having one major idea per paragraph. But so keep it simple. In newspaper writing, we always wrote for the 8th grader who just moved to town. In medical writing, if it's for patients, you need to just assume that they don't know anything about fertility, okay? As far as keeping it interesting, I don't know if anybody's read the Da Vinci Code or any suspense thriller. Cliffhangers, as I'm writing, I like to kind of end certain paragraphs or sections with a little bit of a cliffhanger. You'll notice in the Da Vinci Code or like some of these suspense novels, as you get to the end of the chapter, they will have the character in some predicament. And then you turn the page, and the next chapter, you're actually not reading about that same character anymore. You have to wait all the way to another chapter to get it. But you don't have to go that far to do a cliffhanger. But cliffhangers as you write, to keep people saying, well, exactly what did he mean by that? And that propels them to the next paragraph and propels them through the story. And of course, I think it's always important when you're writing to tie it in, to tie back into the beginning. A story shouldn't be linear and shoot a patient out on a stream of thought, starting in one place and getting to another place. It really should come full circle. There's a sense of completeness with that people like, and it seems like a whole piece. This next one, how to deliver a great TED Talk, needs to be simple, and this is what blogs should be. They should be simple. Needs to have one core message. Now, I've strayed from that here, so this would not be a great TED Talk. It also needs to be, I think, 18 minutes. It needs to be unexpected if you can. So these, again, are surprises, teasers. But you should also have like a central concrete thing that you're trying to get across. And you can't, making outlandish claims is not a good idea. If you can get some emotion into it, such as your passion, or when you're talking about a patient, these are all things that make great TED Talks. But another thing is having a story to tell. If you can tell the story of a person, let's say we're talking about progesterone levels, tell the story of a person who had a progesterone level that was in a certain range, and use them as an example. Those things make, concrete examples, real patient stories, make it come alive for the patients. So who are you when you're a writer? Are you a reporter doing just the facts? Are you an editorial writer, a mixture of fact and opinion? A lifestyle writer? These are sort of fluff pieces with just facts, but not a lot of opinion. Or are you a columnist where it's kind of fluffy? It's not necessarily a serious article, but you get to have opinions and facts. Ideally, you'll be all of these, and at different times. I think it's great to have a diverse range of different kinds of blogs. My first blogs were all kind of very emotional. What's it like to be a fertility patient? Kind of my second set of blogs was, how we do what we do and why we do what we do. And I now I kind of mix them up. I think they're all good to write, and if you do all that, it will keep you interested. So do have an opinion, be a counselor, scientist, try to have a sense of humor, try to show some of your warts, but don't complain, and never speak poorly of other people. I would not get political. Ron warned us about getting too religious or too political. I'm not by nature anyway, but those are the kinds of things that can turn people off. Of course, me, finding the time to blog, that's one of my biggest challenges. I do best with one of these, and Ron can probably tell you which one. But you can set aside time in your schedule. And if you have an idea for a blog, if you decide you're going to set aside 15 minutes Friday at lunch, write for 15 minutes. Just set that time aside and do it. You do not have to finish. Okay. I keep a journal. I do this. This is just me, but whenever I get a good idea on a blog or something, I actually have a notepad on my iPhone. I just talk to Siri, type it in there, and I have a whole list of little tidbits of things that I can talk about later. Most of us can give something else up. I have a friend who plays a game incessantly on his iPhone. He could give that up for 10 minutes a week and actually get some blogging done if he was in our field. This is something that a lot of writers do, make space. And what I mean by that is literally make space. Set aside a little place that you go to blog. If you're having trouble doing it, set aside a place that this is when you sit down there, that's what you do, and that's all you do. There are a lot of writers who do this, and it can make a difference. And be more efficient. Like if you're having trouble finding time to blog because you've got to mow the lawn, you've got to do some housework, you have to do whatever, you can put yourself on a timer for these chores. You find you can probably be more efficient in a lot of the things you do to allow you to get to some writing. And then, of course, this is probably the biggest one that actually helps me. If Ron says I need a blog by such and such date, this is the one that's probably most likely to work for me. When you have a deadline, as a reporter, that works very well. You know exactly what it is, and if you don't meet those deadlines, you do get fired. So this is one that actually works really well for me. And those can be self-imposed or imposed by others. So early on, when we had our blog, before we met Ron, we actually had a blog service. We went to like that third one, Blogger, but there's WordPress, Google Plus. Since then, we've incorporated it back into our website, and we wouldn't have known how to do that, but Ron did. If you are using, other platform and just starting a blog, one of the key things I would do, though, is within the text of anything you write, if you mention the word endometriosis, you can make a hyperlink back to your website. So it will, if they want to click on for more information of endometriosis, it'll take them back to your website. And that's, again, it helps with bringing up traffic. And if they spend more time on your website, great. Of course, this is not a way to optimally boost your website rankings, but if you're going to use one of these services, I would definitely do that. Commenting. Now when Ron set up our blogging online on our website, we lost our commenting. Now occasionally we do still get emails, but this is something we're going to put back on. The downsides are, we'll write something about thyroid and people will comment on it, and it'll be ads for Viagra. So there will be spam, but you can have a filter. You can set it up so that you have to approve everything that is published. And of course, this helps generate a little bit of interest in the blog. It can get debate started, and it can also give you valuable feedback. Like our fertility quiz, quite frankly, when we put it online, when people started taking it, we think it was too restrictive. The patients were commenting to us or sending us emails or putting on Facebook, this is too, it's telling me that I need a reproductive endocrinologist. And we looked at it and we said, you know what, the scores are coming up wrong. We really need to tinker with it. So it does give you good feedback, so you can manage that as well. So one of the things too on the bottom here with the benefits is it allows you to seem more human. When we were allowing comments on like the Downton Abbey one, when I had patients disagree with me, there was one thing in particular that several people disagreed with. We could have a debate, and they convinced me that they were right. It wasn't something regarding fertility, but it is an opportunity for them to be right, to be heard, and it helps you maintain a sense of humility too. So, okay, it's one thing to write a blog, getting it to your patients is another. And for us, this is where we've had a lot of help here. We do Dr. Pearls, and we don't do as many as we used to. But every few months in the beginning, we were doing Dr. Pearls and actually physically having them delivered to the doctors, but with our website at the bottom. We have newsletters that go out with links to our blog. So patients who've seen us, we use Facebook. When patients or doctors call us with a question, if we have a good clinical pearl, we'll direct them to our website. I always want people going back to our website if they can, because anything they can do to do that only improves our web ranking, and local patients can find us that way. And of course, Facebook and Twitter, Vanguard handles that for us, but we definitely get a lot of engagement that way as well, and it drives a lot of traffic to us. So this is sort of a summary. Objections to medical blogging. Not a writer? Well, you are. I mean, you explain these things every day, and you probably do a great job in the clinic. And it's just a matter of of putting them on paper and sharing them. And most of us really do have the time if we make it. And if you don't know what to write about, I mean, it's sort of like, who are the innovators? Who are people who are entrepreneurs? They find something that bothers them. Hey, I don't like this. I wish there was a gadget. Hey, wait a minute. I could make a gadget that will make my life easier. So anything that bothers you or bothers a patient is an opportunity for something to write about. If it seems too self-promotional, I'll tell you what, I really believe that we provide excellent medicine. I believe that we really listen to patients. I believe that we really care about them. And if I am promoting us as a clinic, I really believe we're getting patients to a very good place and probably the best place they could be. So is that self-serving? Maybe that's egotistical. I don't know, but I think it's the right thing to do to get them in our doors. And no one will read it. These patients are hungry. If you're fertility especially, or if it's cancer or something that is very life-threatening, if it's something with your children, these patients are hungry. They want the information, and you are probably the best person to give it to them. And anyway, those are pretty much in a nutshell why we blog, and we have seen a tremendous uptick in our practice, and every week we have patients coming in to say, we came here because of this, because of information we had. I shared this with my parents. I shared this with my sister, and they could not be more appreciative.